The GMC Yukon is one of General Motors' most lucrative and widely recognized vehicles on American roads. For nearly the last 2 decades, the Yukon has been GMC's full-size truck-based SUV and satisfies the needs of consumers who desire a passenger-hauling and go-anywhere capable SUV. So let's go ahead and take a comprehensive look at this 2018 GMC Yukon Denali. Introduced nearly 4 years ago for the 2015 model year, the latest iteration of the Yukon is slotted as GMC's most expensive offering. The Yukon is a fairly mammoth vehicle weighing nearly 5,300 pounds. However, you will find it to be slightly less in weight compared to rivals in the class such as the new Ford Expedition. Styling of the vehicle is striking, bold, and boxy, similarly to its platform mates the Chevrolet Tahoe and Cadillac Escalade, with a sizable length of 203.9 inches and width of 80.9 inches. For 2018, the Yukon sees notable improvements, being the replacement of the 8-speed with a new 10-speed automatic, a revised sculpted front grille on Denali trims to more closely resemble the rest of the Denali family, and the new Mystique Ashwood interior trim enhances the interior decor. Here is the key fob for the vehicle. Typical General Motors smart key here. We do have your lock, unlock, your remote and start, as well as to release your tailgate, and you also do have your button to release your rear glass, and then you also have your panic alarm as well. This exterior color of the Yukon is known as the White Frost Tri-Coat, very popular selling color for this vehicle. You also find smart key access on all 4 doors of the vehicle with chrome accenting around the door handles. And you also do have power deploying running boards, which certainly aids when getting in and out of the Yukon. And this is the jet black interior with perforated leather seats and white contrast stitching. And unique to the Denali trim, we do have the Denali logo embossed onto the front headrest. You have your power adjustable driver's seat with power recline, as well as power lumbar. Now, these running boards do help out quite a lot when getting in and out of the Yukon. Certainly helps out on the ingress and egress. And when you step up on the inside of the cabin of the Yukon, you're greeted to a very welcoming and inviting cockpit. The Mystique Realwood ash trim and the authentic aluminum and white contrast stitching further enhance the already sophisticated interior design of the Yukon. And you do have push button ignition. Just put your foot on the brake and hit the button to start. And what you're hearing there is a 6.2 liter V8. We have a full leather wrap steering wheel. Coming to your transmission, you do have the new 10-speed automatic transmission with a column mounted shifter and lower gear selection. We also do have a tow and haul mode. When you put the vehicle into reverse, this will display your rear view camera with your guidance lines and trajectory. Let's go ahead and turn on the headlights as well as the hazards. Go and check out the exterior of the Yukon. All windows are fully automatic in the vehicle. And pop up the hood and check out the engine bay. Heated exterior side mirrors with blind spot detection and LED side arrow turn signal indicators. And you also find your 22-inch alloy wheels with midnight silver paint. Coming up front here, high-intensity discharged headlights with LED daytime running lights and LED turn signal indicators. And you also have front parking sensors. With the Ford Expedition making use of a more modern turbocharged engine, the Yukon here goes more traditional with a naturally aspirated 6.2 liter V8. You'll find it to produce a pretty healthy 420 horsepower at 5,600 RPM and 460 pound-feet of torque at 4,100 RPM, with EPA estimates being 14 in the city and 22 on the highway with this vehicle. Now, we'll see what this baby can do when we hit the road later in the video. Competitors of the Yukon, it really all depends on how you equip the vehicle. Going for the lower end trim levels for the Yukon, you could compare this to vehicles like the Ford Expedition, Toyota Sequoia, and the Nissan Armada. However, if you go for our top of the line Denali trim like how ours is equipped, you could compare this to vehicles like the Lincoln Navigator as well as the Infiniti QX80. You can also opt for an extended length version which adds in more passenger space as well as cargo space, called the Yukon XL, which is slightly pricier. Pricing for the Yukon starts at the base SLE, which starts at $48,530. Then you have the SLT, $57,425, and then the Denali, $65,965. And you can also opt for two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive with the Yukon here. With the 2018 GMC Yukon being a truck-based SUV, it's no surprise here that many characteristics and traits of a truck are present here with the Yukon. Nonetheless, the Yukon has a very high up driving position and a very commanding view of the road, opposed to many modern day crossovers which sit much lower than the Yukon. The standard 5.3 liter V8 engine definitely has enough power to tow around trailers and to haul many occupants inside the vehicle. However, it can feel a little logy and sluggish at times, and I definitely recommend the 6.2 liter V8 if you're looking for more robust power and better acceleration. But contrary to what many consumers might think, the 5.3 liter V8 actually has a slightly higher tow rating than the 6.2 liter here. The 10-speed automatic transmission wasn't added in from General Motors to just compete with Ford's Expedition. This 10-speed is actually a much more refined and a much more smoother operating transmission than the 8-speed it replaces. And it also is much more consistent with its shifts, and jerks are definitely absent with the new transmission here. The ride quality of the Yukon, shakes and trembles are definitely noticeable, and the optional magnetic ride control only helps marginally with that. And it definitely doesn't help with the 22-inch wheels, the fairly large 22-inch wheels with our top-of-the-line Denali trim. Ultimately, if you could get past the truck-based underpinnings and nature of the Yukon, there's plenty to love about driving this vehicle. However, if you don't need the utter capabilities of a full-sized truck-based go-anywhere capable SUV, a more civilized modern-day crossover might suit your needs a little bit better. Total vehicle price for our particular Yukon, you're looking at $78,385. For the parts content information from US and Canadian, 42%, and Mexico, 44%, and final assembly point is in Arlington, Texas, and the country of origin for the engine and transmission are both from the United States. Overall vehicle score, 4 out of 5 from the government, 5-star safety ratings, and EPA estimates, like I said, 14 in the city and 22 on the highway. And you do have roof rails on top. You can also opt for crossbars if you would like. Like I said, coming back to the styling of the Yukon, it features a very boxy, very edgy type of design, especially, which is very evident when you get to the rear of the vehicle. We do have LED taillights with LED turn signal indicators and rear parking sensors as well. And you'll also find your hidden rear glass wiper right up here and an LED third brake light. You also do have all of your basic power necessities, power windows, power mirrors, which also power fold, and your power door lock switches, as well as your interior chrome door handles. The interior of the Yukon is very well built, and it features a very upright type of design, unsurprisingly, since this is a truck-based SUV. Nevertheless, it's a very premium and rich looking interior. Plenty of soft touch points that abound inside of the cockpit, such as on the door panels here and on top of the dashboard as well. And this interior is just a very inviting place to be, and pretty opulent and lavish, and everything feels sturdy inside of here for the most part, and I'm very impressed with the interior of the Yukon. We do have dual USB charging ports and a 12-volt power outlet and a little storage compartment and dual cup holders, as well as your center console with plenty of space. You have enough space to pretty much store a laptop inside of there, and you have dual USB charging ports in the center console, as well as an auxiliary input and a 12-volt power outlet. And love to see that there is LED lighting inside the center console as well. And you'll also find your wireless charging pad on top of the center console lid. Coming to the steering wheel design, pretty good looking steering wheel from GMC. And you'll also find your cruise control. We do have adaptive cruise control and your forward collision alert heated steering wheel and your controls for the driver information display. The steering wheel also does power tilt and telescope with a pretty good range of adjustment here. Over here you'll find your power deploying running boards. It'll show you on the screen if they are extended or not. And then you do have your traction control off, parking sensors, your lane departure alert, as well as your power adjustable pedals. Down here you have your trailer brake controller as well. And then we do have a 2-speed transfer case with your 4-wheel drive selector. And then your heads-up display, which you can display various amounts of information, such as the digital speedometer here, or you could display the direction of travel as well, and the tachometer. And then you can also adjust the brightness if you like, and adjust the height of it too. Pretty cool. Up here you also find your automatic dimming rear view mirror with OnStar and LED map lighting, as well as your garage home link and your sunroof with your sunroof controls. And you do have a wind deflector. However, I would prefer the Ford Expedition's dual moonroof that you can opt for. Yukon still doesn't offer that. We do have tri-zone automatic climate control with your adjustable temperatures. Love how GMC went with the traditional knobs and buttons here. Very easy and simple to use, very well laid out as well. And then you have your adjustable fan speed levels and your different zones, front window defroster, rear window defroster, and then you have your rear climate control settings down here. You also find 3-stage heated and ventilated front seats for the driver and the front passenger. Let's get to the infotainment system and the main head unit. This is the GMC IntelliLink system. Seen this head unit many times here before. And this is their last generation system, but it works okay. Starting to show its age a little bit here, but in the upper left-hand corner you do have your exterior temperature readout, and the upper right-hand corner you do have your digital clock. It also does feature 4G LTE Wi-Fi, and your different audio sources do include all of the norm, including AM, FM, XM satellite radio, and you also do have your external media devices, which do include Bluetooth streaming audio, as well as your USB port with iPod integration and your auxiliary inputs. And you also do have a direct tune feature, which is very convenient if you don't want to tune through all the different radio stations. Coming back to the home screen, you have your phone where you can hook up your Bluetooth phone and hook up multiple Bluetooth devices onto the system. You can view your recent calls as well as your contacts, and you have your integrated dial pad as well, and you can also view your voicemail. Your projection features for your Apple CarPlay as well as your Android Auto. And then your navigation system, which features 3D rendering of buildings. You can also zoom in and out by just pinching like this, which is pretty cool. And it features your points of interest as well as live traffic. Other settings that you could change, like the time and date and the rear seat reminder language and the video voiceover. You have your Android Auto and Apple CarPlay settings, Bluetooth settings, vehicle settings, and your teen driver feature, which you can monitor the driving habits of your teenager if you would like. And then you have your rear camera, and then you can always return back to the factory settings. If you also want to impress your friends, the screen also lifts up by pushing on that button that reveals a little storage compartment area with a USB charging port. One of the coolest features I love about General Motors vehicles. And we do have live weather with your hourly forecast as well as your 5-day forecast. You could change the location if you like. And then you have your video. But you have to press on the rear media to change the source. And then you have your SMS text messaging function through your phone. Of course, you have to have your phone connected onto the system. And then your OnStar as well as your live traffic, which will show you a whole incident list in your nearby local area, as well as your shop where you can download apps onto the system. Alrighty, let's get to the gauge cluster here. Very traditional looking setup. On the left you'll find your tachometer, and on the right your speedometer. Like I said, it's controlled by the buttons on the steering wheel for the digital display here. And you do have your digital speedometer as well as your timer, which you can start and stop at any time you would like. And then you have your tire pressure monitoring, oil life percentage, fuel range, your instant fuel economy, and your trip information. Then over here you could change your audio source if you would like. It'll show you what radio station is playing. And then your phone, where you can hang up and make telephone calls from here. And then your navigation, which will show you a little mini map as well as turn-by-turn directions. And then you have other options where you can change the units from US to metric, your heads-up display, software information, speed warning. You can enable that if you would like. And then your info pages, which you can you could change what you want displayed on the screen. Like if you don't want the tire pressure monitoring system to be showed on the screen, then you could turn that off if you would like. But overall, love this little instrument cluster. Pretty good looking display with good graphics and good quality, and it's pretty crisp and clear. And I love how it's controlled by all the buttons on the steering wheel here. Very convenient. The seats in the Yukon are fairly comfortable, definitely comfortable enough for a long road trip. Pretty well supportive on the side bolsters. And thigh support is okay, but certainly can be improved just a little bit. Visibility out of the vehicle is pretty good. Lots of glass area all around. The A-pillars are fairly narrow and plenty of visibility throughout the windshield. When you get to rearward visibility, pretty good. Lots of glass area back there too. And the Yukon does come standard with a rear view camera, of course. Interior quality does follow through in the rear. Still find plenty of soft touch points on the door panels here. And the second row seats do fold down just by pulling up on the lever right there. And you can also opt for bench seating if you would like, or you can go for these second row captain's chairs or bucket seats, however you want to call it. And back here in the Yukon, there's plenty of legroom and an ample amount of headroom as well. You also find dual map pockets as well as 120 volt power outlet back here, as well as your rear climate controls with your adjustable temperatures and fan speed levels, and dual USB charging ports, as well as your HDMI input too. And then we also do have your 3-stage heated rear seats back here. And you'll also find your rear entertainment system, and LED map lighting back here, as well as a little armrest on the side right here. The seats themselves are pretty much just as comfortable as the front seats. They're pretty plush and decently supportive, especially for second row seats. And access into the third row is pretty easy, since you could just walk in between, since we have the bucket seats here. And when you get back here into the third row of the Yukon, this is where it gets a little cramped. And even other crossovers full-size crossovers are even better when it comes to rear seat legroom for the third row occupants. But you'll find that for a regular sized adult, third row access is pretty good since we do have the second row captain's chairs here. But when you get back into the third row, it's pretty tight back here. The legroom just isn't all that great, and I certainly recommend stepping up to the Yukon XL if you need that extra passenger space for the third row occupants. But even other full-size crossovers are even better when it comes to the rear seat space for the third row occupants. But you will find cup holders back here, as well as a 12-volt power outlet. But as you can see, my knees are up pretty high. And you do have LED map lighting back here as well. All right. You do have your power rear liftgate, and you can open up the rear glass separately if you would like. Now, one of the drawbacks with all of General Motors full-size SUVs is the high load floor, but you do have a little storage compartment area, and with all seats in place in the regular Yukon like how we have here, you're looking at up to 15.3 cubic feet of cargo space. And I certainly recommend opting for the Yukon XL if you need that added cargo space, which adds in an additional 24 cubic feet of cargo space, bringing it to a total of 39.3 maximum cubic feet of cargo space when all seats are in place. You do have your power folding third row seats, of course, and you can also power fold the second row. Pretty cool there. And you do have a 12-volt power outlet as well. But definitely not a whole lot of cargo space when all seats are in place with the regular Yukon, and most other full-size SUVs and full-size crossovers are better than the regular Yukon when it comes to cargo space behind the third row seats. So with its robust power from its 6.2 liter V8, its wide variety of configurations, and its many standard and optional features, the 2018 GMC Yukon remains a pretty good choice for a full-sized SUV. Just remember, if you are looking for something a little bit more civilized for your family, you may want to check out a crossover. So remember that this is Cameron Birch from Cameron's Car Reviews.